Khonshu has made his appearance recently in the MCU as the god who chose Mark Spector to become his avatar of Moon Knight here on Earth. He's an immensely powerful being who appears to have roots back in ancient Egypt. But is it possible that he's even older than that? Welcome back, Nerd Squad. I'm your host Amanda McKnight, and this is Top 10 Nerd. Join me as we learn more about Khonshu by counting down some top 10 facts in regards to this god that you need to know. Just trust me. You're gonna want to know these facts. Number 10. Egyptian Pantheon. Khonshu hails from the Egyptian Pantheon of gods, which is a large group of deities who in actual history were worshipped by various groups who each had their own kind of symbolism and their own take on each respective god or goddess, which means that Egyptian deities have some of the most diverse wheelhouses when it comes to what they symbolize. The Egyptian Pantheon in Marvel Comics descended from another group of godlike beings known as the Elder Gods. Khonshu himself is possibly descended even from the elder god that basically began it all when it comes to this pantheon, giving birth to one of the oldest Egyptian gods who Khonshu himself is related to. Number 9. God of the Moon. Probably one of the facts you already know, but also one of the facts that is still the most important to know, I'd say, is that Khonshu is the god of the moon. Many of us at this point know this, but what does that actually mean, to be the god of the moon? In Egyptian, the name Khonshu actually also means traveler, and it's believed that the meaning behind this name is not necessarily in regards to like travelers of the night and their protection, but possibly to symbolize the traveling of the moon across the nighttime sky. At least, that's what the moon appears to do. Over at Marvel Comics though, Khonshu instead is depicted as the god of the moon and the protector of those who travel in the night. Though in regards to his connection to the movement of the nighttime sky, his MCU ability to manipulate it kinda makes a lot of sense, just based on that original meaning. That original interpretation we think of what traveler could mean. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are loving this list and you want to show us that you love us, head on over to Facebook and click that like, click that follow. It really does help us out here at the channel, so thank you. Also, we're gonna have some real exciting things coming your way over there, I promise. You're gonna want to be there for it. It's gonna be juicy. Number 8. Celestial Heliopolis. In the comics, Khonshu and the rest of the Egyptian deities are said to have resided in their own dimension, adjacent to Earth, much like the Norse mythological deities of Asgard. Previous to residing on Celestial Heliopolis, it's believed that they actually lived and ruled on Earth in Heliopolis, until the human pharaohs took their place, and then they moved instead to Celestial Heliopolis, their own dimension. Also, like Asgard, Celestial Heliopolis has its own bridge to the earthly realm, but instead of being a rainbow bridge, known as the Bifrost, that's what the Asgardians call theirs, it is a golden bridge and is known as the Path of Gods. I like that. The Path of Gods. Number 7. Can't enter Earth. Not technically anyways. Have you ever wondered why all-powerful Egyptian gods like Khonshu even need an avatar? Well, it's because they can't actually physically be on Earth, and so they have avatars to kind of like act out their will for them and to connect them to Earth. This is what Mark Spector is for Moon Knight, a vessel, a fist, an avatar. He is able to fight the fights on Earth that Khonshu can't physically deal with himself. I believe this is because the Egyptian gods are really all on Celestial Heliopolis, where they live, but that doesn't mean that they can't reach out to Earth to spiritually connect and communicate with their avatars. That is something they can still do. At least, Khonshu was able to do it before he tried to take over the world, but more on that point later. Number 6. God of Vengeance. Earlier depictions of Khonshu in mythology are said to have seen him depicted as bloody and violent. At one point in a pyramid text known as the Cannibal Hymn, he was plotting to kill the other gods and devour them to absorb their power. Yeesh! But aside from that, there isn't a lot that he has to do with violence or revenge. In fact, Horus is more traditionally known for being a god of vengeance among the Egyptian deities, as his father was killed by Set, and Horus was usurped by him. However, over at Marvel Comics, it seems some of that very distant, very small amount of reference to Khonshu being bloodthirsty, power-hungry, and somehow even vengeful has trickled into the character. I assume the vengeance is more there to make the bloodthirsty and violent aspects of him feel more justified though. I don't think they were necessarily like, yes, revenge, it's a thing that's in mythology for this character. They were just like, look, Moon Knight's gonna be kind of a violent guy, and how do we justify that? Number 5. Son of Ra. Or adopted son of Ra? Honestly, it's a little confusing. In the Marvel Handbook, it was stated that Khonshu was the son of Adam, aka Amun-Ra, Egyptian god of the sun, and Amunet, air goddess. However, it was later claimed during the 2016 Moon Knight series that Khonshu was the adopted son of Amun-Ra. Either way you look at it though, these two are related, either by blood or in name or title to one another. Also, to be clear, in Egyptian mythology, those are two different gods. So there's Amun-Ra, and then there's Ra, and those are two different beings entirely, but Amun-Ra is kind of like a combination in Marvel Comics of both of them. Ra and Khonshu, each representing different life-governing and powerful orbs, the sun and the moon, have also been known to have an ongoing feud, each having their own avatar fight against the other. It has been said that throughout history, Khonshu was always the one to prevail in this ongoing war between father and son, with their avatars always coming out victorious. Number 4. Age of Khonshu. Right? Remember when I said that Khonshu can't even really enter Earth in almost any facet? Well, this is because he is currently locked up in the dungeon of Asgard. Why is he locked up in the dungeon of Asgard? Because he kind of attempted to take over the world and turn it into his own Egyptian afterlife. Yeah, not a great look, Khonshu. Now granted, just because Khonshu tried to do that and almost succeeded in doing that awful thing, doesn't mean he's a straight up villain. Khonshu's history in comics is filled with both a lot of good and some bad deeds, this being one of the worst. But prior to him trying to take over the world, the mission he set Moon Knight on was actually seemingly a pretty good one, to defeat Mephisto, who was pretty much always a villain through and through. After this was done though, Khonshu revealed his plan to take Mephisto's place and rule Earth, transforming it into an Egyptian underworld, and well, yeah, now he's in prison, meaning that his connection to Earth is even more severed than it was previously. So now he really can't be there. Can't be there at all. Number 3. Sibling of Bast. Because Bast is also said to be the child of Atum, it's therefore implied that Bast and Khonshu are basically siblings, with Khonshu either being a half-brother or full brother depending on who Bast's mother was. Bast is an extremely important deity when it comes to the history and the lore of the nation of Wakanda, so this is a pretty wild relationship that we can use to possibly connect the two in the MCU at some point. While Bast has not shown up in Moon Knight as of episode 3, which is where we're at currently with Moon Knight in terms of the time of this recording, it's possible that even in the MCU the two will be related, and this will be revealed at a later date. Bast is the child of Adam, but claims to have started as a human who ascended to divinity through the power of worship. Bast is known for being a cat god or goddess, depending on their form at the time, and is also known for being connected to the underworld, specifically Necropolis, at one point taking T'Challa, aka Black Panther, for their king. Number 2. Elder Shadow. Null referred to Khonshu as an Elder Shadow during the King in Black event, not specifically calling him such, but merely discussing the term, and while doing so, on that page were other important figures from Marvel Comics. Included among them was Khonshu, implying that, according to Null, Khonshu is also an Elder Shadow, also dressed in local legend. The other beings who join him on the page are Shuma-Gorath, Sidorak, and like I said, Khonshu is also there too. Two of these beings we know are in the MCU, with Shuma-Gorath being renamed to Gargantos for the Multiverse of Madness. Does this mean that Sidorak could also appear in the MCU, and perhaps Null might as well? It just seems like an interesting thing to note, at least, and could hint to the arrival of these other characters, especially as this all went down in the King in Black Black Knight one-shot, another character who has already appeared in the MCU in Eternals in his human form of Dane Whitman. An Elder Shadow, I believe, is like a dark entity that is perhaps like far older and more powerful than it inherently seems. At least that's my interpretation. I don't think it's ever been fully defined, but that's what I'm going with based on what Null says on that page. A lot of people, when I talked about that in my short, were like, what is an Elder Shadow? What is? We don't really know, but it sounds not great. Number 1. God of Time. Khonshu isn't just known for being the god of the moon and of vengeance over at Marvel Comics, he's also known for being one of the gods of time. Once again, this makes his ability to turn back the night sky to age-old constellations and star positions even more logical, as this is not just a manipulation of the night sky, but it's kind of also a manipulation of time. Even in Egyptian mythology, Khonshu is associated with time as well. In Marvel mythos, Khonshu is the protector of travelers through the night and through time, and this could even potentially connect his MCU counterpart to the going-ons of Multiverse of Madness, Loki's time variance authority Authority, the TVA, and even Kang, who is known for his time travel plots and shenanigans in the comics. Everything comes back to Kang. I'm just saying. I said it here now, everything comes back to Kang. That's what I think is gonna happen. I was really hoping it was gonna be Norman Osborn, but you know, I'm cool with Kang. If that's where we're going, I'm here for it. Which Egyptian god is your favorite, if you have one? Which Marvel god is your favorite? Are you enjoying the Moon Knight series so far? Have you read any of the Moon Knight comics? Let us know in the comments below. This has been Top 10 Nerd, and I'm your host Amanda McKnight, reminding you as always to stay nerdy, YouTube.